Hey everybody, I'm Jason,
I'm Storm.
and welcome back to another video on Tier Mania. As you guys can see, it's been a little while.
Just a tad bit.
Quarantine's hit us a little hard for the lack of haircuts and stuff, but we are back. We've had some life stuff going on, and I'd say we're back with a big one. Because what are we talking
Oh
about
yeah.
today, Storm?
We are going to be doing the Star Wars tier list. This we'll say now. This doesn't include like the Star Wars TV shows or anything. This is just the movies, like the main series movies. And yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. Storm and I are both fairly large Star Wars fans. We do enjoy the movies a lot. We talk about them all the time. If you guys are in our communities outside of this channel, you'll know that we've been planning this one for a little while, and we're finally sitting down, and getting to it. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Make sure if you guys enjoy the video that you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, here we go. First one, A New Hope.
Yeah, I mean, listen, A New Hope, absolutely iconic. You got to start somewhere, and they nailed it with this start. A ton of like crazy iconic movies, and it's one of the most important movies ever made. I just think it's a little slow at the beginning. You know, like it's not a bad movie. It's obviously really good.
Oh yeah.
But I think it does start really slow, and it takes a while to get going. But once it gets going, it's phenomenal.
Exactly.
You know?
So it's a really fantastic movie. It really puts, you know, people were very excited for more after this one. It started a whole sci-fi revolution, you could say, for a lot of the films and movies and media in general. So we owe it a lot. But then again, from a movie standpoint, because we're kind of ranking this on level of Star Wars movie as also just movies, the beginning does take a little while. So we are gonna have to put it at A.
Yeah, I think it's firmly an A tier though. Like I don't want to go over too much here because I mean like it introduces so many important things to pop culture in one movie. Like it's crazy. Like and even though it starts a little slow, I think it gets a pass because I mean like think about it. This is our first introduction to the Force, to lightsabers, to Darth Vader, to Luke Skywalker, to R2D2, to C3PO, Han Solo. This is Harrison Ford in his absolute bag. Like this man is stunting on him.
Yeah, like, Harrison Ford really knew what he was doing in this movie, man.
Like, oh my goodness. Like, who cares if he shot first or not? This man was shooting shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was going for it. Just so many things. Like this. I'm pretty sure this is a movie with the trash compactor scene. This is the use the force, and he shoots the ship shot thing into the Death Star, blows it up. You know, just like so many important moments in pop culture entirety, let alone movie history, happened here, and we can't not acknowledge that. You know, it's really good. But also, I will say, it also not just started slow, but the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Vader was really lame. Like it was just some old dudes with broomsticks, and it showed. You know, like it was.
You couldn't see it when we were recording, but I was imitating the fight, and it was really bad. Yeah. Also, sorry for the green screen side note. It's bugging out today, but we'll get it fixed next one. But I was gonna say it broke a lot of norms for movies as well. It was one of the first movies, I think, like ever to not have an opening credits. Like it was just a text crawl, and it was like, hey, here's an intro to the movie. You'll figure out who the people that are in it later at the actual credits, which was really cool. It's a super minute thing compared to everything else we just talked about, but I thought that's fun. Subverting expectations, that's cool.
It's a really great cold open to the movie. Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. Especially we start off with just Darth Vader, just immediately. So, you know, it's really cool.
Very. All right, up next, we're looking at Empire Strikes Back. Right here.
Oh boy. If we want to talk about iconic, like you could make the case that this is the greatest movie ever made. You could. Like you really would have a solid argument.
Really good.
Listen, we're making this video in mid 2021. I don't know if there's that much we could say about it because it's so monumental as like a piece of art. But like just to get into it, I mean, first of all, Darth Vader just enough said. My man popping off in this movie. We get to see more of the Emperor in this movie. This is where we get Yoda for the first time, little puppet Yoda.
Little puppet Yoda. Puppet Yoda's hilarious. We love puppet
Yoda. with them on the swamp. If we want to talk about Harrison Ford, this might be peak Harrison Ford. Like in this movie, him and Carrie Fisher just incredible.
Oh yeah, incredible. The dynamics between them just was it looked like they were the characters, like the way that they just were able to riff off each other and just really show everyone that they were invested into the role was really cool.
You get I think this is our introduction to Lando in this movie in the Cloud City.
I believe so.
Then we get Boba Fett in this movie. We get the iconic scene, I love you, I know, and then he gets frozen, and like again, peak Harrison Ford. My man just shooting the fadeaway right before he's going out. Incredible. And it's obviously we can't not mention this. Arguably the biggest plot twist in movie history, the "I am your father" scene.
Yeah,
just insane. Can't even imagine what that would be like if you had no idea that was coming.
Exactly.
And you're seeing this in theaters.
For those of you guys that have seen Endgame, like that kind of level of excitement was probably what was going on back then.
It has to be. It has to be.
There's no way.
It was probably better because with Endgame, obviously, we all know they're coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler alert for Endgame, but there's no way you didn't know they were coming back. Like, I can't even imagine what that was like in theaters. Empire is just an incredible movie. Not just that, it just looks really good. Like the fight between, or like the first time we get Luke and Vader fighting each other in that dark room where you just see their lightsabers, the blue and red, like just
really cool.
It's super, super good.
Very, very visually pleasing. They really nailed it.
Yeah, like we can't. It's the top. It's S tier. There's no way it can be anything else.
Nothing else.
So
that's where we're putting it. That's where it goes. Gotta respect the name of Empire Strikes Back, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, up next we've got Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. What did you think of Return of the Jedi?
It was good. It was a very, very, very Star Wars movie. Nothing wrong with that. You want Star Wars? Return of the Jedi is giving you Star Wars,
Yeah.
Coming off of Empire Strikes Back, though, it's kind of hard to follow something like that up. So it definitely shows. But it was still a very, very good movie. Very much enjoyed it. It really kind of. Obviously, because you're going backwards, so it kind of answered some stuff. But the way that it answered stuff, it worked well.
Yeah, I thought it was really good too. It's again, like you said, I think it's impossible to follow Empire. It's like it reminds me of like the 2021 Chiefs this year in football. If you follow the NFL, like they just won the Super Bowl and now they're back in the Super Bowl. It just didn't seem like they were ready. Like they didn't care as much as they did last year. And I feel like Return of the Jedi is kind of like that. Like it's really good still, but it's not the same. Not to say it's bad, because there's a lot of really cool moments in this movie. Like you get Darth Vader, and this is the first time like we really see how strong the Emperor is, because like it alludes to it before this, but like this is really when the Emperor just pops off. So you see the Force lightning and all of that. You have Darth Vader going against that and saving his son. You have this great moment with them, and takes off his helmet and like touches him on the cheek, and it's very heartfelt.
Really heartfelt.
Yeah. You get the return of Lando coming back, and he's actually a good guy. He didn't betray them to help them take down the second Death Star. This is when Han and Leia finally get reunited, and they have their full love story, and she's like, I'm not hitting on my brother anymore. Haha. Like
don't worry about it. We didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't know, so it's fine. But I will say it's not perfect. I think I personally don't mind the Ewok stuff, but I know a lot of people really, really thought that was really unnecessary.
Ewoks are fun, man. Without Ewoks, you don't have Star Wars.
Without Ewoks, Star Wars does not exist. You heard it here first. But and then also I think, I think once we get to the sequel trilogy, we'll talk about this more in depth. But Luke just showing up in this movie and like being absurdly strong is a little hard to believe for me, because like he was strong before, but in this movie he's just like an unkillable god. Like it's just like where did this come from?
Little plot armory, which I mean, of course he's gonna have plot armor, but like it was a bit much.
That's what I'm saying. It's
like
it's a little over.
It would have been cool to see how he got to this level, but they're just like, here's the end of the last one, and here he is in this one, and it's just like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it happens very, very quickly. So that's my own personal gripe. Again, if you want to argue this is S tier, I would hear it out for sure. But I think this is a really good movie that just has some flaws. So I think A tier is a good spot for it.
Again, like I said, you want Star Wars, it gives you Star Wars, but you got 2 others that'll give you even more.
That's for sure.
All right, so prequel memes aside, prequels, Phantom Menace starting it off.
Oh man, we just took a dip. Like, this is... Okay,
it's crazy how we went from that to that.
Yeah, like, okay, let's start with the positive here. I do think Ewan McGregor and what's his name, Liam Neeson are great. They have a great little duo going.
Yeah, that was a good little combo.
It's cool to see the intro of Padme and like Queen Amidala, the whole thing of her being undercover, and that's pretty cool. And obviously, the end of the movie is great. You get the Duel of Fates, this iconic piece of music. We get the duo fight between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, which Darth Maul, by the way, is introduced here.
Hi,
double lightsaber, super sick. That can't be understated. And obviously, Obi-Wan's moment, seeing his master die, avenging him, super cool. But the rest of the movie is not great. It's not great. It's a lot. I do know who it was. George Lucas really sat there and was like, you know what this movie needs?
Computer-generated image.
And Jar Jar Binks. On top of that. What about both? It's just... Oh, man. Listen, again, we're in 2021. These points have been said. But, it really is tough. It's tough.
It's like it's when CGI started becoming a little more sophisticated. It's when CGI started becoming a little more normal. But they were just like, oh, there's a knob here. Let's put that on 11.
Yeah, they went way too overboard with it, and it does not hold up very well. Obviously, now that we have incredible CGI with things like Godzilla versus Kong getting made through a pandemic, and it still looks amazing. It's hard to go back to this.
Yeah,
it really is. But not just that. Again, say what you want about pod racing, but there was a lot of that. We didn't need all that. The Anakin stuff with him as a little kid, just like flirting with Padme, who's like 10 years older than him, is like, what? Like, I get we have a plot to get to here, so I understand it, but like,
it's got more game than I ever will have.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, this man Anakin rolled up with a bowl cut and is just pulling. This man looks like a lost member of the Beatles in this movie, and he's just going ham.
Also, I forgot to get rid of E, so sorry about that, guys. Got rid of it. Just we don't doing E tier, but anyway, yeah.
But all that said, it's not awful, so I don't think it's F tier, but I don't think it's any higher than D tier.
It's like I said, to go from this to this is like, ugh. Like there's still Star Wars movies. Like, don't get us wrong, there's still fantastic movies. They still give you the joy of Star Wars, but like, come on, guys. Did we really need Sith Lord Jar Jar?
It's just rough.
I wish they would have went with that. Oh, I wish they would have went with that. Anyway. Attack of the Clones.
Speaking of rough, like it's literally just like, what if we had the Phantom Menace but worse? Like, it just, God, why did we need all of this Padme and Anakin? Why? And then they like, if you're gonna do it, do it well. And they no, we know you don't like sand, Anakin. We know you don't like sand. You don't need to go on a whole monologue about it.
No.
All the scenes with Padme and Anakin, I cannot understate this, are painful to watch. Like this dialogue is like, this is like 50 Shades of Grey, but way, way, way worse. Like this is just, it's painful. It's really bad.
We gotta figure out how many times freaking Attack of the Clones has been compared to 50 Shades of Grey.
I'm telling you, it's that level of like cringe, and I don't like using the term cringe because I think it's overused. But
it's not good.
It's not good. It's not good. The shining moments, we do get Samuel Jackson going ham in this movie, cutting off people's heads. We love to see it. The Coliseum scene is really fun. You know, it was great. It inspired a lot of great video games. You know, shout out to the Coliseum. But it's just the worst. I will say though, we do get a lot of Palpatine, and this might be a this might be a me thing, but I love Palpatine so much. Like he's just incredible. Everything he says is like so overdone.
Very overdone, but delivered very well.
Like whether it's in his Emperor voice, or if his Palpatine voice, where I just talk like this and overpronounce every word I say. Like I love it. Like Palpatine is such an icon. Every time he's on screen, I love it.
He's great, but unfortunately that does not make the movie any better.
But no, it's still rough. It's still really, really rough. There's a lot of politics in this, and that's not what we're watching Star Wars for. And yeah, again, the Anakin and Padme thing, really bad. I think we're in agreement here. This movie is horrible. So I think it goes in F tier.
Yep. It is not what you want, unfortunately.
No, it is not.
But it's where it's at.
Yeah.
Now, however, give it a little bit more time in the wash, and you get yourself a Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is pretty good.
It's a good movie. Talk about iconic.
Yeah. Oh boy, a whole. Okay, I don't know how much we're factoring in memes here, but like the amount of memes in this movie are unrivaled.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
That whole scene is a meme factory. You have the younglings thing. You have Palpatine with first of all, the fact that they have more than two like evil head turns while he's talking to Anakin, but the fact that there's like 5 in the same scene, he keeps turning, and he's like, "Not from a Jedi." You're just like, what? Like, I can't believe it, but it's so good. Again, Palpatine for president 2024. Make it happen.
Oh God.
But jokes aside, this movie is really good. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but it has a lot of fun moments. Obviously the end fight scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan is great. Like it's very emotionally resonant.
Oh yeah.
Choreography is amazing. The visuals are great. Like just a really, really strong way to end the movie. And this finally ties in all of Darth Vader's backstory and his full villain motivation, which is really cool because we finally get to see how everything happened and how he becomes Darth Vader. So that's a huge plus in this movie's favor. But what did you think about it?
I thought it was great. For like out of the prequels, it was great. Definitely the best. And it really wrapped up a nice little bow to some of the questions we had. And it like you said, it's and like I said earlier, it's very iconic. It's got a lot of great movie scenes, got a lot of great stuff that is needed for the Star Wars universe. It's good. It's definitely still got some things. There's some overly CGI'd fights. There's some crazy, wacky stuff going on with some of that. That's just the prequels as a whole, though. There's a lot of like backflips and sword waving and windmilling, and it's very weird. And doesn't quite fit. So it's still got prequel issues, but it's definitely the best out of the three.
Yeah, there's a lot of like acrobatics just going on in the prequels. I don't know who thought of that, but that's a staple.
Yeah.
But it's just Revenge of the Sith. It's so weird to think about how much happens in this movie. Like it's like you start off, Count Dooku dies, and then Mace Windu dies, and then Palpatine becomes Emperor, and then Anakin goes to dark side, and then Anakin chokes out Padme and he thinks he kills her. Then Anakin kills a bunch of children, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan fight, and then Yoda and Palpatine fight, and then it's just like, oh my god, like there's so much going on. It's a lot, but I think for what it had to do, I think it actually wrapped it up and handled it pretty well.
Yeah,
you know,
it considering the amount of substance in the first two, it needed the extra. You know? Yeah, and it needed to have a lot.
Especially coming off the first two, like the fact that we even got this is crazy.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it's really good. It definitely has its flaws. You know, we do have more Padme and Anakin, so you're getting points knocked off for that. And again, the CGI is a bit much sometimes, especially with like Grievous and Obi-Wan. Like during that whole scene, there was a lot of CGI going on there too.
Like General Grievous is really cool, but it's if they did like General Grievous stuff in some of the modern movies, I think they could do it really well. But because of where the CGI was at then, like, whoa, okay, ooh, big scary computer man.
Yeah, it's, you know, again, there's flaws, but I do think, and I think we both agree, this movie is pretty good. Yeah. So it should go in at least like B tier.
I agree. That is a very solid spot. Definitely the best of the three prequels, but definitely not anywhere near the first three originals.
Yes, sir.
Now, there's a large time jump here to the point where you didn't think we were getting any more Star Wars movies. And we got more Star Wars movies. First one we got,
Force Awakens. Listen here. I'm super biased. I love this movie. This is my favorite Star Wars movie. This is in my top 5 favorite movies. This might be my favorite movie I've ever seen in theaters. Like I can't explain how cool this movie was to see for me personally. I won't tell the whole story, but it was just a really, really like magical moment in my life. It was great. But again, this movie doesn't not have flaws. You know, I get why people aren't super into this movie. I get the comparisons to A New Hope. It's very clear the influence for this movie. Influence in air quotes.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, definitely. And I get the whole, hey, Rey's like a little overpowered. Like, how does she know how to fly this? How does she know how to do this? How does she know how to do that? And I get it. But like we were talking about earlier, Luke did the same thing. So it's kind of like, I don't really get that criticism. I don't really knock the movie for that, but I understand it. But all that said, I think this movie is really good. I think it's super, super fun. I think all the new characters are lovable, whether that's Kylo or Rey or Finn or Poe.
I think you could really connect with all of them. I think they did a really good job setting them all up.
Yeah, like there's a lot of humanity to these characters. Even like the evil General Hux. Like they found a way to make this like
you feel bad for him sometimes.
Yeah, like it's so funny. Like I love what they did with this character. Obviously BB-8 is so good. Like the fact that they made this new droid so lovable, I think, and his design is awesome. Like why are we not doing roly droids? Like how do we not think of this? This is great. And I just thought it was really good. I think, you know, Finn's backstory is really cool. Former stormtrooper, I think that's really interesting.
I loved that.
I think Kylo is definitely the most interesting character of all of them. He's a little edgy, a little My Chemical Romance-y. I get it. But I think he's still really fun. I think his whole dynamic of, you know, wanting to live up to the past is really interesting in this movie.
He wants to finish what his grandfather started.
Exactly. Especially like the reveal of Kylo Ren. I still remember that. Like sick. I remember talking to so many different people about that because people were like, who is this like Andy Samberg looking dude who just is the villain? Like that was the whole thing. Like people didn't think he looked menacing enough, and now in 2021 Adam Driver is like one of the hottest, not hottest as in physical appearance, but hottest as in like
I mean, we'll talk about that at Last Jedi.
But hottest is in like most in demand actors right now, so it's crazy how far that has changed. But again, Force Awakens, really really good, really fun moments. Obviously Han and Chewie coming back to the Millennium Falcon, amazing. I think the Rey and Finn banter is super fun. Gets a little bit much because you know Finn's like, you got a girlfriend. It's just like, bro, calm down. You know what I'm saying?
Chill, homie.
I think the Finn Poe bromance is really fun
was cool.
too.
I like
that. They have a great relationship.
They do. The chemistry between all the actors, they really did a good job pulling the actors they pulled. Really, really, really good.
Yeah, like it. Obviously, in the movie, it's like the start of this revolution, and that's what it felt like watching it. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's the start of this new trilogy, start of a lot of things. But it just, through the actors' performances and the story, you felt the magic in the air. Is the best way I can describe it.
It really did the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I thought it was a great start to the trilogy, and I think it's really really good.
Yeah.
So I would say it's A tier.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's really good, really, really, really good. Storm said it might even be his favorite movie ever seen in theaters, which is crazy to me because he saw Endgame in theaters, and that's probably up there for me. But you've got the originals to contend with here as well. If we were comparing like everything but the originals, which why would we be doing that? It would be S tier. But like with these three here, it's tough. So we're gonna have to put it there just because it was very much just copy paste in a lot of places of A New Hope. Again, nothing wrong with that. But it definitely is holding it back a bit, but it was still a fantastic film. If you like Star Wars, you're gonna love this movie. Good stuff. Good.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we've got the first not spin-off, but like it's not in the main cast of movies, being Rogue One. Now, Rogue One, I gotta say, this movie hit me. This is a very, very emotional movie when it needs to be. I felt like it was a lot... Star Wars doesn't look like it would on the outside, but once you dig into it a little bit, it's got a lot of humor. Like, there's a lot of humor and like, kind of one-offs and quips and stuff in the movies. Rogue One was very mature. It was very dark in comparison, which I liked a lot. I thought it was a very cool take.
Yeah, it like we were just talking about the... kind of like the magic that goes with Star Wars movies. This one felt like very like if the best way I could describe it is like Marvel movies are very jovial in tone, and DC movies are like very gritty. Like that. Yeah. That's what it felt like. It felt like we were watching Marvel movies and we just got a DC movie.
Exactly. Like, but like a good DC.
Yeah, exactly. Like Rogue One is really good.
Very, very good.
And it's interesting because I think the public perception of Rogue One has changed a lot over the past 5 years since it came out.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
came out after the movie after Force Awakens. So whatever year that was.
Yeah. So, and I know when it first came out, it got a lot of backlash for how serious of a movie it is. And again, I think it works really, really well. I think the story is super interesting. It explains a plot hole that we've been talking about for years, which is if you're gonna make a Death Star, how does it have like this one glaring weakness? How does that happen? and now we know, like it actually makes sense. Like it's really good.
All connects.
I think all the actors kill it. Shout out specifically to Forrest Whitaker, who plays Saw Gerrera, who is up there with Palpatine in favorite Star Wars performances. Like, my man is just Boogaloo, Jin, save them! Like, oh my god!
He's going for it, man.
He's going for it, and I respect it. Like, it's just, oh my god, great, fantastic. I think our cast of like little misfits is amazing. I think Jin works great as a lead role. I think the whole gang. I love the droid. I love the super sarcastic droid in this.
Really
He's
good.
great. I love the basically Jedi guy that we got. He's not a Jedi, but got it. He's got all the ingredients to make a Jedi. I am with the Force. The Force is with me. I think that whole scene was incredible.
Yeah, that was really cool. I think I lost my train of thought. Rogue One really got for a modern take on what the original Star Wars was doing, because that's what it is. It's the in between. It's the in between of New Hope and why am I blanking? Empire Strikes Back, right? No, it's not. It's something in the middle.
Revenge of the Sith.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
yeah.
New Hope, yeah.
Sorry, like I said, I lost my train of thought, so I lost my part there. So as an in between, explaining the stories of these years old movies, having a modern take on that universe and that time period in universe was really cool and very well done.
Yeah, and hold on, how do we not talk about this? Arguably the greatest scene in Star Wars history, the end of the movie, when things are going real bad for our heroes, real bad. Things are not going great. They gotta get this chip out to, I forget who it's going to, but they need to get it to the rebels, right?
Yeah.
And they're stuck in this room, and you just faintly can hear this breathing, and you're like, oh my god. The lightsaber lights up and Darth Vader just goes to work. This man isn't even trying, and he's just murdering them. I felt like a child watching that, just giddy. Oh my god, we get to see Darth Vader in his prime. This is so cool. That is
very cool.
Incredible. Incredible moment. I think the end of this movie is really good too, of Jin, and I forget his name, I'm totally blanking. But the two main characters, having a last kiss before they go out.
I love
and that's
that.
The thing.
That's what really hit me. That moment where the envelops you in the screen. So good. Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that's really good about this movie, is that people die. This is a resistance fighting against an overarching empire. You're not gonna win. No. And these heroes, they're alluded to, they're mentioned in dialogue and other movies and other media, Star Wars media, but we actually get to see it now, and I think it just really hits.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% hits, and they, like you said, they're gone. We're never seeing these guys again.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah. But also, special shout out to Orson Krennic, who is our main villain here. Oh my god, this man is just okay. First of all, he's involved in the Death Star planning and everything, but he's not Tarkin, so he's not behind everything. He's just part of it, but he wants to take credit for everything, and he's trying to boss people around. This man tried to boss Darth Vader around. Krennic, what are you doing? The audacity of this man is just incredible. What is going on? And then he's just getting disrespected this whole movie. He's finally had enough to go take out Jin, and then he still loses.
Yeah,
dude, Krennic is just incredibly bad. He's oh my god, he's Doofenshmirtz come to life, but not self-aware.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh goodness. Sci-fi Doofenshmirtz, oh my.
So shout out to Orson Krennic for just being the most incompetent character I've ever seen in my entire life.
Makes the movie better.
Just a legend.
So with all that said, this is an S tier movie. This is an S tier Star Wars movie. Not number one, but is definitely number two. Very good.
It's just a really it's one of the only Star Wars movies you can watch on its own without seeing any of the other ones, and it still be a really satisfying experience.
Oh yeah, 100%. Very, very. Okay, so we come off of Rogue One, and we're what's going on? This was the filler arc, Now we've got Last Jedi, the one we've been waiting for since we got Rise of Skywalker. I always say that. Force Awakens. What we thinking? What we thinking, Storm? I really enjoyed this, but I know there's a lot of people who didn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting because again, the general discourse around this movie is like overwhelmingly negative. Yeah. And I don't think it deserves that. Like, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever, but I've never seen a piece of media divide a fan base harder than this movie. Like,
yeah, it really split the waters a lot. Like, it was.
Yeah, it's just I've never seen anything like it. But like you said, I also really enjoyed this movie. Like, I remember when I first saw it in theaters, I came out of it like, that was great. And then like, you know, over the course of time, I was like, maybe not. But I still think it's really good too. The problem is it's just kind of all over the place. You know, like it's trying to do too much in not enough time. And I think it really gets hurt for that, especially knowing how the trilogy ends. We'll get there. But I still think there's a lot of really cool moments in this movie. Like I have a couple friends and I know a couple people that like think this is the best Star Wars movie, and I can kind of understand why they think that. Because you have moments like obviously the throne room scene, which incredible, good. Like
very, very good scene.
Oh my god! Like just whole like that again argument. Or it makes the case for best Star Wars scene ever. Like it's super, super good. You have, I think someone calls it Force time when Kylo and Rey like talk to each other. When they have the little Force time moment. I think those are actually one of the best parts of the movie is seeing their connection. And
I think that's really cool.
How they talk to each other and their relationship grows. Yeah, it's really cool. I do enjoy the submersion that they tried to do, because the thing about this movie, whether you love it or you hate it, I think you have to give them credit for going in one direction.
Yeah,
you know, it's like the director Rian Johnson, he knew what he wanted to do and he went for it, regardless if you like it.
The path was not windy at all. It was just, this is where we're gonna go and we're sticking to this.
Yeah, and again, I think he gets a lot of points for that, because obviously, you know, the movie starts off with Luke just throwing his lightsaber, which
I didn't like that.
Crazy. Yeah, I wasn't a biggest fan of that either. But again, I respect it.
Like, as much as comedy and Star Wars go hand in hand, that was a little too close. Didn't like that. You could have handled that a little differently.
Definitely. You know, you have Yoda burning the ancient Jedi texts and things. You have Kylo's whole message of like, kill the past, like let it die if you have to, you know, or let the past die, kill it if you have to, which is really interesting. And there's a lot of different like interpretations of that too. But there's a lot going on in this movie. It's just, I think it's a movie of highs and lows. Like they'll be like we said, there's a lot of really cool moments. You have the throne room, you have Luke having like his final stand, which is incredible. That whole scene on like the red salt planet is so cool,
dude. Like, that was the visuals on that was fantastic. So cool.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I remember watching that in theaters and like thinking multiple times of watching it, that would make an incredible screensaver. Like that would make an incredible wallpaper. Like just really cool.
What this was the movie where Leia force saves herself from space, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that happened. That was cool. Then this was also the movie where Commander Lady I don't remember her name, but she got appointed as commander. She like destroys a fleet of Star Commanders with a hyper jump, right?
Yeah.
That was when all audio cut out in the theater when that scene happened, dude. My jaw was on the floor. That was so cool to me. I loved that scene where she's just like, fuck it, dude, here we go, and just blast through, and you see her jump, and then just all sound cuts out, and you just are left with just destruction. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Commander Holdo was her name.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Holdo maneuver. That's, and again, as much as I agree, incredible moment, it's also met with a bunch of backlash, because it's like when you see something like that, you just think, why don't they just do this all the time?
Yeah, true.
You know, like
it's risky.
Like it, yeah. I mean, it's a suicide mission, but I mean, you could just have one person do that all the time. So I think that's the biggest problem with this movie is that when it does one thing really well, it opens up a can of worms on the other side.
It definitely does do that, and this was just kind of the sequel trilogy as a whole. There were a lot of things that are like you can do that, like especially when we get into I always mix the damn movies up. Rise of Skywalker. All of a sudden we can heal people now with the Force. That's weird. Why weren't we able to do that before? You know, so like there's a lot of weirdness in these as a whole that is very like one-off and opens a lot of questions that don't really get answered. But they do make for cool movie moments, and that's also partially what we're ranking this on is cool movie moments, you know. So
yeah, the big moments play a big factor, and again, I'm not trying to be too negative, but just like there's also some really questionable things going on in this movie, like you alluded to just then. The whole Finn and Rose thing. Like I actually enjoyed that relationship, but
I did too.
It kept taking these weird turns, and they had that whole side mission of going to the planet, and you know Captain Phasma, I think her name was like super hyped up because she was a very important character in Game of Thrones. So everyone's like, oh my god, they got this actor, this is gonna be amazing. And then she basically does nothing and just dies, and you're like, oh, okay.
This was Casino Planet, right?
Yeah, this is Casino
Planet was weird. I felt like that took off, like that ruined the pacing of the movie a bit.
Yeah, did not need to be there. And then, you know, once they get back and Finn, he's finally ready to have a stand. He's like, okay, I'm done running away. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the Resistance. And then Rose, no, you're not going to do that.
I hated like, that.
I think that was the first fake out to set up many fake outs in the next movie, which we'll get to. But it just, you know, there's a lot of misses with this movie, so I get why people really get frustrated with it. But I do think there are really high highs,
really good hits.
Well. So all that factored in, I think again, we might get some hate for this, but I think it's B tier. Like it's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
It's not. Give it a rewatch. Maybe watch it in the string. See what you think. It's good. It's a good movie. I don't want to talk about this one. This one makes me sad. I enjoyed Solo. Crucify me now. I liked this movie, okay? It was good. It set up Han Solo really well, IMO. I loved all the different little callbacks and the references, but I will admit there were a lot of weird things that it could have handled a little better, which we'll get to. But Storm, I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I'm not of the camp that hates this movie. I just think it was kind of forgettable. You know, like for me, I watched it and I was really excited because, you know, big Game of Thrones fan, Storm Targaryen. So I was like, oh, sweet, we get Emilia Clarke in this. Those of you that don't know, Childish Gambino is my favorite artist of all time. Community is my favorite TV show of all time. I mean, you would think Game of Thrones, but
Donald Glover's just human being.
Yeah, Donald Glover is amazing. So getting those two actors in the same movie,
that was huge.
Star Wars
that
movie,
was huge.
Like super excited for this, and then I just was like, I almost immediately forgot about it. I was just like, oh yeah, yeah, Solo happened. Like it just, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me.
As much as I hate to admit that you could ask everybody, name the most recent or name the main Star Wars movies, and you know they wouldn't get Solo. Because it unfortunately didn't leave as much of an impact. It released like in May of the year it released, which was weird because every Star Wars movie that we've gotten up until from Force Awakens, I know for a fact they were set to be December holiday releases because I'm pretty sure Rogue One came out like around holiday time, and that's the formula was. You know, Solo broke that in a weird way because like May is such a weird time to release a movie. It's like I don't know many people who have any days off in May. You know what I mean? Like it's not a school, like I don't think there's many school days off in May. Sometimes people get out early and they'll end school in May, so like the kids aren't able to go see Star Wars movies. It was very weird release time, which I think was part of its detriment. But this is a tangent that doesn't really pertain to where we're ranking it, but I think that pertained and contributed to its forgetfulness, unfortunately. And that really sucks because I enjoyed this movie a lot. You know, you say it's forgettable, but I remember a good amount of stuff from this movie. I loved the card game scene. They catch Donald Glover cheating, and they throw that back later in the movie as well. And that shows how the Millennium Falcon was acquired and attained, and that's so cool to me. And the twist villain, really liked that. That was cool, but I hate that, you know, spoilers for this movie, obviously. Watching this, you probably know everything already. But I hate that we're not getting anything more from that. Like, who is that? Who was that character, and why is she a villain, and where did she go? Solo ended.
Yeah.
Then
It
there.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? What are we supposed to do with this information? Thanks for setting us up for one of the biggest cliffhangers that we're never going to get an answer to. Because Solo also ruined the trend of these side stories happening because it released at a poor time and did so poorly in the box office and came out to like meh reviews, and it sucks because now we're never getting any other of these Solo movies or these like a Star Wars story. I'm pretty sure is what this was branded as, right? It was the Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Solo, a Star Wars story. I think 2 or 3 more were set to go, and they're like, nah, we're not gonna do this. People don't like this anymore. So yeah, as much as I love Solo, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I remember a lot. I thought they really handled Han Solo well. It really left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest thing for me, and maybe some other people too, is that, again, I'm not even the biggest fan of the original trilogy. Like, I'm not like a huge fanboy of it. But at the end of the day, one of the best parts about the original trilogy is that with characters like Boba Fett and with Han Solo, with some of these other characters, it's part of a lot of the fun is thinking about what they did before we met them.
Yeah.
You know, and being like, oh man, can't even imagine what kind of wacky hijinks they got into, or like can't even imagine how many bounties like Boba Fett has cleared and like how many crazy fights he's been in, you know. And the fact that it just kind of it happened, you're like, oh, that was
that's not what my imagination was thinking.
Yeah,
there's Star Wars as a series, and it's very much meant to do this. It leaves a lot of questions. There's a reason we don't have answers. The reason why we don't know what the Force truly is. Like, yeah, midichlorians, whoa, you know, but like that isn't really the answer, you know. But some questions are left to be unanswered. And unfortunately, Solo answered some of the questions that we didn't need to be answered. You know, as much as I loved the parsec reference here, where they actually showed the parsecs that he went through, that was cool, because that was a line that we keep hearing about. Right? That's not mistaken, right? That's like, that happened.
No, you got it.
Yeah, okay. It would be cool to imagine that, you know, and keep that in our imagination rather than being like, oh, hey, there go the 11. Like, cool. So
yeah, it's a thing with all forms of fantasy, whether that's like video games, movies, TV shows. Part of the fun is the imagination, the fantasy.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's like concrete now, I think is definitely a negative. You know,
it sucks. Yeah, definitely pulls the movie down. I think we talked about this movie most out of all of these so far. Sorry, I really like Solo, but all of that to be said, it's a C tier movie in comparison to the rest of these.
It's just it could have been better, but it wasn't that bad.
Exactly.
It could have been worse too.
It is the most average Star Wars movie we've got.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that, but like, anyway. Rise of Skywalker. Oh boy,
we made it.
So this is where me and Storm have a polarity. I really enjoyed this movie.
I really did not enjoy this movie. How about you go first with the positives?
I think a lot of the visual storytelling in this one was fantastic. I think oh man, the visual difference between Force Awakens and Last Jedi, like, you can tell technology. Whee! And I think that's so cool. I love a lot of what they did for thematic elements in this. I really, spoilers, really liked that Rey is a Palpatine. I think that's really cool that she is connected to a character that we didn't think had any kind of connection in this universe. You know? As much as it might be a little shoehorned in, and as much as, you know, Storm will definitely talk about this, why is Palpatine here again? I thought it was really cool. I really liked that, you know, this is kind of like the whole the water scene in with Rey and Kylo. That is, whoa, that was so cool. And then Kylo's left there to self-reflect and just think about all of the stuff he's done and realize this whole time what's been going on throughout this whole trilogy is him getting pulled back to the light side, which he got pushed into the dark side by Luke originally. I think it was so cool seeing him finally turn, and that's kind of what turned the path. We got to see him talk to his dad, so we got the return of those two, which was really cool. But I can see where the flaws are, but I think as a Star Wars movie and for what it was connected to, being the two other sequels, I think it, in connection to those two, I think it worked well. I think it brought a lot of what you want from Star Wars, which is a lot of action with a lot of the humor, with a lot of the story connection, and I think it brought a lot of good of that opinion.
Yeah, it's gonna be a no from me, Chief. And again, I agree with a lot of what you just said, because this movie isn't like atrocious like some people say it is. It definitely has highlights, you know. But my biggest problem with this movie is that it's just so unsatisfying as a finish to a conclusion, or to a trilogy.
That as much as I enjoyed. Sorry, I cut you off. You said conclusion to the trilogy?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
As much as I enjoyed the movie, I have to agree. There's a bit. Some of this stuff was a bit.
And that's part of what was so disappointing to me, is because we start with Force Awakens, and we didn't even talk about this, which I can't believe we didn't bring this up. But Han Solo dies in this movie.
Yeah, how did we not bring that up?
Han Solo, iconic rebel leader, is dead.
That was insane. My dad's favorite character is Han Solo. My dad just loved Harrison Ford. So I turned my head to him when that scene happened, and my dad doesn't show emotion much, but you could tell he was surprised by that.
Yeah, it's insane. So Force Awakens sets the tone with that, and then we get to Last Jedi, and it's like, oh, Leia's dead too. Oh my god, wait, no, she's not. And then we get to Rise of Skywalker, and it's like, oh, Chewie's dead. Oh, no, he's not. Oh, Kylo Ren's dead. Rey just stabbed him. No, he's not. Oh, Palpatine's dead. Oh, he's back. Oh, Rey's dead. She sacrificed her life. Oh, she's back. Like, it just, every single thing gets like brought back. And then with Last Jedi, whether you like it or not, one thing that I thought was really bold is at the end of Last Jedi, the end of the movie, is this little kid using the Force to pull up a broom.
I thought that was so cool.
Exactly, like implying that everybody has the Force. It's not just the select group of people that are Jedis that are born with it. And then we get to Rise of Skywalker, and it's like, oh, this is so cool because Rey is like this everyman kind of character, and she comes from nothing. Like, it's confirmed she comes from nothing now, and her parents didn't matter. And it's like, oh yes, finally. Just kidding, she's a Palpatine. And it's like, why? What's the point? And I get it, it's two different directors, so they have completely different visions, but it's just, there was a way they could have gone with this that would have been at least halfway salvageable, and instead they're like, let's just throw it all in the garbage. Let's just take all of these character arcs and do nothing with them. Like, it's just, I know that sounds really harsh, and it sounds like I'm being like over dramatic, but like, think about how all these characters started and ended, and name one of them that you're like, oh yeah, that actually, I really like how they did that. Like, any of them. like it's just like, Rey starts off really cool, and then by the end of it, it's still like, oh, so she's just a Palpatine. That's why she's so super strong, and she sacrificed her life, and then someone else sacrificed life to save her. And now she's going on her own to just like figure things out. what's going on with Rey? Like, what is happening there?
She closed her arc by opening her arc.
Exactly. It's like, that doesn't feel satisfying at all. Finn shows up and it's like, he's this deserter. He's running away from it. Last Jedi, he comes back and he's like, just kidding, I'm going to fight. And then gets stopped from trying to do that. And then in Rise of Skywalker, he's like, Rey, I got to tell you this. I got this secret. And then doesn't tell her. We still don't know what that is. So it's like, what's going on?
Isn't it that
and
he loves her?
We still don't know. Never got the answer to that.
Good point.
I could be wrong. If I'm missing something.
No, I think you're right, because the quicksand scene, right? The quicksand scene when they go into the cave where the worm is, he's like, I gotta, and then they're fine, and then they never revisit it.
So you spend all this time with him and Rey implying that we still don't know, and then this new girl gets introduced, and then they have this little like flirty scene. It's like, is he just gonna go with her then? Is that what's happening right now? I don't know. Poe.
Yeah, the horses.
Poe is like super independent. He has this whole arc in Last Jedi of trying to do too much and trying to be the hero too much. And then this movie barely gets to do anything. We get introduced to like his ex-girlfriend. It's like, I don't know what that was. Daft Punk over here. Like, what was that? And then we introduced to her, and then she just disappears. I'm like, okay, I guess that's the end of Poe's character arc. Even Hux in this movie, General Hux, turns out he's a good guy, quote unquote, or he just doesn't like Kylo Ren.
He just doesn't like Kylo. He feels like Kylo betrayed him. He didn't listen to Kylo. He thought Kylo was a brat, and he's trying to get back at him for it. So he still doesn't like. He still wants to have the Sith win, but he was helping out as a revenge tactic.
That's the thing, right? And I thought that was really cool. You get that moment. 10 seconds later, he just dies.
Yeah, dude didn't even look at him.
Like, oh my god! And then Kylo Ren, who, like we mentioned earlier, I think he has the case for the most interesting character in this whole arc. I'm fine with him coming back to the light. I think that's cool. Do we need another Han Solo scene? I don't think so. I think we should have just let Harrison Ford enjoy retirement. But we have this scene where he almost dies, gets healed. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a good guy now, woo!" And then we finally get the Knights of Ren, which have been hyped up for forever, and then they just get bodied by Kylo Ren when he comes back, like they didn't matter at all. And then he comes back, he's like, "I'm a good guy," and then just dies like immediately. And it's like,
oh, he's a Force ghost.
Oh my god! Like, everything in this movie just felt so unsatisfying. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm sorry if you like this movie. It just wasn't it. It wasn't it. I don't even know what's good about this besides that fight on the water planet. That's kind of it. Also, we didn't even talk. Why is Palpatine the main villain?
Yeah, do we need that? No, that was weird. I don't know why Palpatine's back. He like we were talking about this before. Palpatine comes back and he's like, "Look at me, I got no pupils." Wow, what the fuck is this? Who is zombie Palpatine over here on a crane arm? Like, get out of here!
Like, who wanted this? Who wanted this?
We were talking about it before we were recording. It would have been really cool. As much as I was just hyping the movie up, it would have been really cool if throughout the entirety of this trilogy we got like Kylo or like Luke or someone is getting like little like whispers through the Force, being like, we can't, like, we hear like or something, but we don't hear like a voice or hear actual words, and that is kind of like the dark side's talking to me, or I'm hearing something from the dark side, or Kylo's like someone's telling me to do something, I need to do this, and he does something evil, or like right before he kills Han or something happens like that, where it looks like he's going to take him, and then something triggers and he clicks. That would have been cool to set up Palpatine. But the only way we got Palpatine set up was in the trailers. We hear Palpatine's laugh at the end of the trailers. That's it. That's all we got.
Yeah. That's the thing, is I think I would have been against Palpatine as the villain no matter what. Like, it would have rubbed me the wrong way. But if there was just something like that, like what you're saying, that would have helped so much.
Because he just appears.
Yeah, he just shows up and he's like, "Oh, I'm super powerful now, and I'm gonna suck your life force."
I've been cloning Snokes in my little test tubes like Mewtwo, Like
it's just so dumb. Like why did they go this direction? I don't know, but
I don't either. Like I said, we are literally the duality of man right now. You know, I saw the good side of the movie. I thought a lot of the stuff they did was cool. I thought it was very Star Warsy. But then Storm on the other side sees what, you know, I see like the setup for the stuff. Storm sees the aftermath of the stuff that was set up. And it really, like, when he talks about it and when I look back at it, it definitely, yeah, they could have done a lot. They could have done a lot better. This is something we probably will never get a resolve to. You know, are we ever going to see Rey again if they make more Star Wars movies? Probably not. And if we do, probably going to be handled really differently. So, I don't know. As much as I enjoyed the movie, I definitely can see its flaws. I definitely understand why it isn't that good. As much as I want to put it a little higher, where are you thinking, Storm?
I just cannot put it any higher than D tier. Like there's no way. Like it just
top of D?
I'd put it below Phantom Menace because at least Phantom Menace has that ending to like really leave you off on a good note. True. Like this one just deflated. You know,
Rey Skywalker. That's all we get. Yeah, that's the last line. Rey Skywalker.
And like the orange lightsaber is cool, and I actually disagree with what you just said. I think she is coming back for sure, and we're gonna see more of her. Because there's no way there's not gonna be more Star Wars movies.
I know we're getting more Star Wars movies for sure. I just don't know if Rey's gonna play as much of a part in them. Like, are we really gonna be getting another Rey like continuation arc? Like, is she really gonna be another main character?
Oh no, that's what I don't think she's gonna be like the main character, but I think it'll be like a Luke Skywalker kind of deal.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Where she has a lot of screen time, but she's not like the focal point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, orange, yellow, whatever color it was, lightsaber looked badass.
Yeah, so cool. Super sick.
Loved that. So I definitely want to see more of that. First different color lightsaber since why am I forgetting Samuel Jackson's character? Mace Windu. I knew it was. Which funny story, those of you guys that didn't know, Mace Windu or Samuel Jackson was like, I'm only gonna be Mace Windu if I get a purple lightsaber. They're like, you can't do that. That's not in story. That's not in lore. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm Samuel Jackson. Give me a purple lightsaber.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
You know, when they tell you up front, hey, we wrote this part for you, I mean, you can kind of do stuff like that. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it, right?
There it is. That's all 11 Star Wars movies.
Yes, sir.
Wow, 11. That's really cool. I mean, that's pretty much everything we've really got to say about all of the films. You guys heard all of what we said. If you guys just skip to the end, please go back and watch. We'd really appreciate it. But we understand. Hour-long video can be kind of hard. But hey, I mean, that's what the timestamps are there for. But definitely let us know what your guys' own opinions are. If you want to go ahead and do this tier list, it'll be linked in the description. It is on Tiermaker, as you guys up there. I'll have it linked. And yeah, really enjoyed talking about this, man.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Well, like I said at the beginning, if you guys did enjoy, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Jason.
I'm in Storm Targaryen.
And until the next video, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later, thank you guys so much for 230 plus subscribers. What the heck? That's crazy. Catch you guys next time.
Yeah,
Peace out,
take
everybody.
care.